The studio lights of Loose Women were bright, warm, and buzzing with energy as the audience settled into their seats. It was one of those afternoons where everything felt perfectly planned, from the applause signs to the cheerful opening music. Today's special guest was none other than the legendary actor Michael Caine, a man whose presence alone could calm a room. Backstage, Michael adjusted his jacket, listening to the distant sound of the audience. He had been in the industry for decades, faced tough interviews, and handled public debates with grace. He believed this would be another pleasant conversation about his career, his memories, and the changing world of entertainment. The show began smoothly. The hosts welcomed Michael with admiration, and the audience responded with loud applause. He smiled gently, thanked everyone, and took his seat. For a few minutes, everything felt light, nostalgic, and respectful. Stories from his early acting days brought laughter. His calm voice and humble attitude made the atmosphere even warmer. But then the tone slowly shifted. One of the panelists brought up a modern cultural debate, something sensitive and emotionally charged. Michael responded carefully, choosing his words with experience and balance. He spoke about understanding different perspectives and the importance of patience in today's fast-moving world. Denise Welch, known for her bold and direct opinions, leaned forward. Her expression showed she strongly disagreed. "With respect, Michael," she said, "that kind of patience you're talking about is exactly what slows real progress. People today don't need more waiting, they need action." The audience reacted instantly. Some clapped, others murmured in surprise. Michael nodded slowly, not offended, but thoughtful. "I understand your passion," he replied calmly. "But action without reflection can sometimes create more harm than progress." A small tension formed in the room, subtle but noticeable. The air shifted. The smiles from earlier became more controlled. Denise didn't step back. "I think older generations often underestimate how urgent things are now," she added. "Not everything can be solved by waiting and discussing forever." The comment landed heavily. A few gasps were heard from the audience. Michael remained composed, but his eyes showed seriousness. "I don't believe wisdom belongs to any one generation," he said firmly. "Every era thinks it understands urgency better than the last. But history teaches us that rushing without understanding often leads to repeated mistakes." The studio grew quiet for a moment. Behind the cameras, producers exchanged nervous looks. This was no longer a light interview. It had become a real debate unfolding live. Denise, feeling strongly about her position, made another remark. She suggested that some public figures often hide behind experience to avoid accountability in modern conversations. She didn't directly accuse Michael, but the implication was felt in the room. A shift happened instantly. Michael's expression changed, not into anger, but into something deeper. Disappointment mixed with restraint. "I have never avoided accountability," he said in a steady voice. "I have lived my entire life under public judgment. But disagreement should not turn into assumptions about someone's character." The audience fell completely silent. For a brief moment, nobody clapped, nobody spoke. Even the hosts seemed unsure how to guide the conversation forward. The atmosphere became so tense that the production team signaled for a short break. The cameras cut, but the energy in the room remained heavy. During the break, whispers spread quickly. Some thought the conversation had gone too far. Others believed it was the most honest exchange the show had seen in years. There were even rumors that Michael might walk off the set, not out of anger, but discomfort with how the discussion had escalated. When filming resumed, the tone had changed. Everyone was more careful with their words, as if walking on invisible glass. The hosts gently tried to bring the mood back to entertainment, shifting topics toward Michael's film legacy and personal achievements. For a while it worked. Laughter returned softly. The audience relaxed again. But the earlier tension still lingered beneath the surface, like a shadow that hadn't fully disappeared. Then came the moment that changed everything. Michael leaned forward slightly and looked at Denise directly, not with challenge, but with sincerity. "I think what we've shown today," he said, "is that two people can care deeply about the same world and still see different paths for it." Denise looked surprised by his tone. The sharpness in her expression softened a little. Michael continued, "We don't need to agree to respect each other, and we don't need to win arguments to move forward." The studio became completely quiet again, but this time it felt different. Less tense, more reflective. Denise paused for a moment, then nodded slowly. "I can accept that," she said honestly. "Maybe we are coming from different places, but we both care." That simple acknowledgement shifted everything. The audience began to clap, not loudly at first, but steadily growing into applause. The energy that had been tense and heavy earlier now felt lighter, almost relieved. By the end of the show, the conversation had transformed from confrontation into understanding. What could have ended in conflict instead became a moment of reflection for everyone watching. Backstage afterward, Michael and Denise spoke privately. There were no cameras, no audience, just two people who had expressed strong opinions and then taken time to understand each other. Their conversation ended with mutual respect and even laughter about how intense the moment had felt in the studio. Later that evening, headlines exaggerated the story, as headlines often do. Some claimed Michael had been kicked off, others said there had been a major clash. But those who had been in the room knew the truth was more human than dramatic. There was no true defeat, no real hostility, only a heated exchange that found its way back to understanding. And that became the real lesson of the day. Disagreements are not failures. They are opportunities to listen more deeply, to speak more carefully, and to remember that respect does not require agreement. In a world where voices often compete to be the loudest, the quiet strength of understanding can change the entire direction of a conversation. And on that day, under the bright studio lights, two strong voices proved exactly that.